Hi guys, and welcome back to Silverflower Stables for an updated Breyer barn tour. It is updated because we have a few new horses and my whole entire farm got relocated from my bedroom downstairs to my basement. So now I have room for most of my Breyers and all my barns. So yeah, and these are not all my Breyer horses, and I'm telling you guys that because my first Breyer barn tour, I had really crappy reviews because I only used 2 of my Breyers and only 1 of my barns, so yeah. So anyways, on to the tour. So this is basically the entrance to the stables, and it has our sign and it tells what we offer. So we offer boarding, leasing, training, lessons, breeding, Western and English riding, dressage, pony rides, and horse classes. Horse classes are basically when the instructors teach the new riders about horses and like the colors of the horse and the parts of the saddle and parts of the horse and everything like that. So around the sign we have a bunch of horse decorations. So we have these big horse wooden statues and these horse figurines or whatever you want to call it. And we have this open and close sign that I made. So right now it is open. So, and this is a homemade sign as well. Okay, so basically this right here going all the way down there, that is basically a road that leads back to the parking lot, which we'll get to later. Okay, so the first thing you'll see when you come through here is our large arena, and right now a jumping lesson is being taught by Miss Erin, and she's teaching Katie a lesson on Franklin. And Erin is the manager of the stable, and she teaches mostly lessons. She teaches beginners and advanced lessons. So she's been teaching for about 15 years. So she is very experienced with horses and with children. So yeah, that's Katie and Franklin. And then over here we have another rider, and this is Jenny, and she is riding Seth. And Jenny, she basically exercises the Western riding horses every once in a while, but she's mostly just a stable hand, and she takes care of some of the horses and cleans up and stuff. So yeah, that's Jenny and Seth. And she does not own Seth, and Katie doesn't own Franklin. Seth is owned by the owner of the stable. We will meet him later, and then Franklin is owned by Erin. Okay, so now onto the parking lot. So this is our parking sign, and it points down here to the parking lot. So here we have our car and our truck and trailer. And then the first barn you'll see is the small stable. And so in here we have Padre and Sandy. Every single stall has a name tag, so we know who the horses are. Okay, so Padre is one of our top stud stallions. He doesn't get along with really any other stallions, but that's why he's with another mare in this stable. So he's a really sweet guy. He's okay with children, but he's more for the experienced riders because he's a Mustang. But he's a really good boy. And so Sandy, she's a retired broodmare. She used to be a big broodmare. She has 1 foal here at the moment, and she is one of our top lesson horses because she's an older horse, and she's really, really sweet, and she's very good with the children, and she's for any experienced rider. So from just starting and from riding basically their whole life. So yeah, she's a really good girl. And then over here we have a random puppy. And then next to the small stable we have our tack-up area. And right now John, he's the owner of the stable, and he owns many of the horses here. He is tacking up Pippin for Olivia, and Olivia is going to be taking a lesson with Aaron after Katie's lesson. And so Olivia, she hasn't been riding for very long, so she just needs some help. And Pippin isn't owned by anyone. He's just one of the school horses. He's just owned by the school of the stable. And so the tack-up area is used for two things. The tack-up, basically, well, obviously tacking up your horse, and you could also walk a horse around if it's not being used, just to cool them off. But we recommend you taking your horse out to the pasture. Okay, and we have a bridle rack right there, and then a saddle rack for your tack. And then you could just tie your horse up to that metal ring right there. So yeah, it's the tack-up area. And then this is our first main barn, and it holds up to 2 horses, but you can do 3, but in the cross ties, but we don't suggest leaving your horse there. Okay, so first horse in here is Ranger, and he is mostly used for lessons, but he's also been in many Western shows, and he has done very well in them. He's mostly used for Western lessons, but he does a little bit of English, but he doesn't jump very often, and he is owned by John. So yeah, that's him. And this is Faith, and he is one of our stud stallions, and he does mostly dressage, but he does a little bit of jumping as well, because we just want to change it up with him a little bit. He enjoys jumping, but he's not the best at it, but we still try him out with a lot of different things, because he's a very wide-ranged horse. And he is owned by Sherry, which is grabbing her English saddle to go ride one of her many horses. And so this is basically our saddle area, and then over there is where all of our bridles are. And so we have an English saddle and a Western saddle. And then back there behind her is a lessons poster, so we basically have the lessons listed. So we have the rider and then the horse they're going to be on. So we have Sherry's lesson, John's lesson, and then Aaron's lesson. So Sherry has to teach a lesson after Aaron's lesson. So Aaron's going to be teaching Katie a lesson, and then she's going to be teaching Olivia a lesson. So yeah. And then right here we have Max. He is one of the barn dogs, so he just chills around with everyone. Then this is part of our horse class back here. So we have a few posters. So we have the parts of the horse, the colors of the horses, and then the 2 types of saddles, well, the most common types of saddles. Then up here we have our large tack room. So we have an extra saddle and a bunch of buckets and posters, tack box, and we have many cats here as well. And then we have a bunch of cleaning supplies and supplements and grains and stuff. So yeah, it's the first barn. And basically this aisle leads back to the second main barn, which we will be getting to next. And this was part 1 of Silverflower Stables Breyer Barn Tour. And I hope you guys are looking forward to the second part and possibly a third part. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and look out for part 2.